Hello, everyone. I am Beth Miller. I am a marriage coach and certified hypnotist and founder of the Marriage Saver program. And I have a really powerful story that I'm going to bring to you today. And it's one that I think a lot of you will relate to because there's so much in this one. We have my client, we're going to call her Bitter Betty, as she wanted to call herself. As you know, I don't give any of my clients their real names in our emails and our videos. We often change their names and we fuzz them out too, just to protect themselves, their family, and what they're going through. So Bitter Betty is here to join us today, and her story is a tough one, right? Because we're going to call it Saving My Marriage when my husband still works with the affair partner. So it's there every day. He's working with the affair partner. So when I first met Betty, she was in a really tough place, one of the toughest, hardest place she'd ever been. And she just discovered her husband's affair. So this is about 9 months ago. So back in February. And what made it so complicated was because he worked with her and would see her every single day. And so when she came to me, she was very curious about the 12 weeks of working together, skeptical. And we'll talk about that in a little bit too. She had a ton of questions. I think her husband, you can clarify this. We're just going to call him Cheater McCheater. Her husband had done a couple sessions of individual therapy, but for the most part, they weren't doing anything outside of this. Betty is an incredible researcher. She'd done a lot of work, and this method that we use that's rooted in neuroscience and daily support versus once a week sessions, hypnosis. She's like, is this voodoo? Is this witchcraft? Is this a money scam? Is this a money pit? So we had multiple conversations about this because it's so different. And I think you're going to get a lot of that from her today, sharing why this method has been helpful for her in such a difficult time when she's triggered every single day. So with that said, Wendy's going to share with us a lot of her setbacks. Like setbacks for her were real, they're difficult. A lot of fear is this going to happen again? He's with her every single day, and these constant spiraling of thoughts. And this still torn. There's many times where she's still torn. Like, do I stay in this marriage? Like, how much is enough? Do I want to keep doing this? But deep down, she's still in it, still working on her marriage. And I don't love the word fighting, but she's still in it, fighting for her marriage. Yeah. So today she's going to share her powerful journey of where she's been over the last just not quite a year, half a year plus. And she's going to talk about the setbacks, the tools, how she's coped. She's going to talk about the story. Like a lot of you will relate to this. So I'm honored to welcome you, Betty. Welcome to this we'll call it interview, this chat about you sharing. And I can't thank you enough because it's really difficult for a lot of women to share their story. And there's not enough stories out there. And people often feel so alone. Women feel so alone because they don't have anyone to share this story with. They are the one person who hurt them is the person that they talk to about this. So let me share this, like ask you really quick, who have you shared your story with?
Thank you, Beth, for allowing me to have this platform to be able to speak to because you're right. There wasn't a lot of stories out there. So felt very alone. So to go back to your question is who did I share it with? I shared it with two of my trusted friends to begin with. Um, One of them I probably have a little bit of regret because of just the relationship that she has with knowing both partners in this thing. So that was kind of tough because that brings in a lot of complexity. Uh, and then I also shared it with a trusted coworker because obviously I was falling apart. But I didn't share it with a lot of people because of fear of it getting out because of the nature of the affair and how that all came about. So,
Yeah, what would happen? I guess what's the scary part? Yes, he's doing all this, he's working with her, but what are the repercussions?
right.
This is bigger than a lot of
So,
other situations. What could happen?
right. So my husband is also a part owner in a small business. And, not a lot of employees. Everybody knows everybody. And there's a lot of complexities around that because not only is he a part owner, uh, and we've worked really hard, right, to build this. Um, but we also have one of our adult children working there is a succession plan. So now I have a child that works there. Granted, they're adults. I know that people will think, why are you protecting him? They're an adult. It's, do I really want to blow up my marriage and my, financial situation and my child's future? And then the affair partner has a family member that works there. and, there's a lot of risk. There is, I don't know what this person will do. She's very much younger. She is, over 30 years younger than my husband. So, I don't know if she's going to file a complaint or a lawsuit or whatever. And then this blows this up for everybody that works there at this company, right? So I, that first day when I found out, I told my husband, I just think we need to sit on this for a minute because, um, I wasn't willing to risk, the business, our investment, my child's future, and, the other people that work there, they depend on us to have those doors open too. I mean, I have my own career. I could walk away easily, um, but it's me being more thoughtful of it's more than just us. And because my husband made a horrible choice, and this person made a horrible choice with him, why blow up everybody else's lives?
Very mature of you. Very
Nah.
mature, very higher self, high vibe. Let's go really back to the first day. Let's go right back because that I'm
Okay.
guessing that that calm wasn't there right off the get-go. Thank you for sharing this, that you've had an affair. Let's just sit on this. Was that your reaction, Betty? Were you in that state? So take me right back to
I
February.
actually was.
You were.
So I am very much a person in crisis mode. I can really think through stuff, um, and take a step back. So that day, when it was a text that I saw, I had to grab my husband's phone to, um, I was doing stuff for, I have an aging parent that I do a ton of stuff for, and I was on the phone with, trying to get something resolved, and I needed to look something up on his phone, and I grabbed it in haste, not even thinking about it, and I saw the text. Hang up, hang up. Okay, fine, let's talk about this. What's going on? What is happening here? And
Really
I mean,
quick, what was the text message? What did you see?
on I wish we could, I wish we could cuddle.
Yeah.
And I said a lot of bad words. Um, but I just said, what is going on? And just unloaded everything, like just it was just vomit, and he was just going, and I was like, and the first thing I think I did tell him was, I am not going to let you destroy 30 plus years of marriage and tell me that, you know, this has been horrible, we've been bad, all that stuff. And then I said, I think I was in damage control, and I said, let's not tell anybody right now. I need to figure this out. Like, let's sit on this. So we chose to tell her minimal, the affair partner, and say that I saw the text, but that's it. Uh, because I was so fearful that there'd be either retaliation or, the thing is there's been a history with her, and we know that she has a thing for married men, older married men. But at the time, we didn't have all that information, so I was just trying to be protective. Um, and I thought, what I don't want to, I just didn't want to tear the business down because my husband made a horrible decision. I mean, that's kind of where it came from. But that day was really more of discovery. I think we stayed up till 1 in the morning, which was way too long, talking about it, hashing things out because you forget everything in the moment. And you just, I mean, I really think I have amnesia for, 6, 8 weeks probably.
Mhm. What emotions came up in the days, weeks after? Were you still in damage control,
Oh,
calm? When did this hit
the
you?
first 2 weeks, I was in survival mode, just trying to survive, like trying to get out of, I mean, I got out of bed, but it was hard. You're right. And putting that face on and going to my responsibilities, um, eh, seeing, I still had stuff I was doing for, you know, my parent, and I had, doctor's appointments for that person, and I had a lot going on in my personal life. But the feelings, the emotion was there was a lot of shock, the numbness, like no feeling at all. Like I just remember saying, I don't know. I don't know. I just kept saying I don't know all the time. uh, loneliness, sadness. I felt worthless. I felt shattered. The feeling of being shattered rings so loud to me. I just felt I was in a million pieces, and I'm left here to pick up every little piece by myself to figure out how I'm going to do this. I felt abandoned. I felt rejected. I felt like I wasn't enough. The fear, the doubt. I mean, I could probably go on.
Yeah.
All the things.
Backtracking a little bit, how long was the affair? And what was the depths of it? What do you know about it? Did you ask? Did you need to know full disclosure,
I
everything?
did. I did ask a lot of those things. And I do think that here recently I figured out it went longer than I understood to begin with. Uh, and so to give you the recap, what I have pieced together, figured out was uh, they had probably started. I mean, they obviously work together every day, close proximity. There is no HR. There is no other like line that she could report to or anything like that. Um, so they're together all the time. And I think, from what I understand, is they had started texting uh, and having conversations, or even through some sort of social media, probably back as early as spring uh,
Almost a year
of
before.
almost a year before. Yeah, almost a year
Yeah.
before I found it. Yeah, because it's probably March, and then I found out in February. And so then, um, but I was told it didn't turn. There were then like July, August, things got ramped up with her sending photos, and then the conversations took a turn, and then by that fall, uh, is when they became intimate, and it became as sexual nature. And so I was told, how many times they were together, and doesn't mean that it makes it better or worse. I mean, it should be zero, right? And so I think that from what I pieced together too is like the last time was at the end of the year. They were still kind of chatting, obviously, in January. And then it was that first week of February that I found that out.
Yeah, and you talked about all these feelings that were coming up, right? This shattered, worthless fear. You sought us out about a month into that. So you're past that survival mode. What was the mode that you were in when you found us? I find people, women, clients don't often find us right off the get-go. That beginning, it's just too much. And actually, they want to go to couples counseling, they want to go to therapy, they think that's the go-to. But you found us a month later, which is quite normal. Why, what state were you in then? Why were you not doing couples counseling? Tell us a little bit about that.
I think I truly was in survival mode. I was so fearful of what I would say or do that he would leave. And so what I have found out, um, my attachment style.
Mhm.
um, so, he is an avoidant and I'm anxious. So by
Mhm.
design, I am fearful that he's just going to leave. Why should I care if he leave? Like, this is horrible as it is, right? But nope, I internalize it like he's gonna leave me. And so I actually kind of wanted to leave, and he's like, I think you should stay. I think we should try to, you know what I mean? And I think it was a good thing. And so then I was just out there reading, and I'm trying to find something, and I was like, I wasn't really getting good, like trying to go through. I went through EAP the first 2 days, employee assistance program, talked to somebody, kind of helped me, gave me some tools, what to do, kind of. And then I started going through my insurance company and looking, and nobody would call you back or nobody would give you an email back. I mean, excuse me, there was just not a lot of quick where I needed something right away.
Yeah, you weren't getting the response.
And
You're
I'm
trying,
sorry,
trying,
excuse
trying.
me. And so I'm the kind of person like you were talking about research, and um, I needed task. I needed like, is there a prescription? Is there
A
give me
flow,
a
a map, a
checklist, right?
system. Mhm.
Yes, where's this journey map, right? Like, I need to understand. I know there's timelines can be different. I get that. But I needed something to not waller in self pity and figure this out, like, um, and help me find that strength. So it was more just digging in to find something, and, I think I kinda stumbled on actually, I don't remember which social media it was, and I just liked what you had to say, and I caught some of your videos somehow, and was like, "Okay, I hear her, I see her, like, this resonates with me," and then I started researching, and then I got nervous. And that's when I was like, "What's happening here? Is voodoo witchcraft?"
Yeah,
You
nervous
know,
about
and
us and
like,
our method. Oh, I should share.
yes,
Like Wendy and I talked probably 3 times. I'm like, I'm not giving up on you. I loved your energy right from the get go. It's kind of this feisty, coming in hot energy, full of doubt. Like, will this actually work for me? What is this? This is like you said earlier. Like, you think, is this a scam? I think you even asked me. Like, I've like not had anyone really ask me these deep questions. They're
it
like,
did feel like it was like a money pit scam. Like, I
yeah,
felt like, "Are you gonna take my money? And then what?" You know, I mean, because 'cause you're very vulnerable, right? And so I
yes,
recognize that,
not
and
trusted, right? You can't
I
trust
don't
yourself.
trust
Can't trust
anyone right
him.
now,
Can't trust
right?
anything.
Right? 110%.
Yeah, so what thoughts were you having during this time? Like we have all these okay, how this works is we have memories. So you have memories of text messages, the things he's told you. And what
Yep,
happens is those memories then create beliefs about our world. Like I can't trust him. I can't
right,
handle it. I'm inadequate.
right,
Maybe I'm too old. I can't let it out. I'm not in
yep,
control. These are all beliefs that you've had. I'm not safe to show my emotions. And so these
right.
memories created all these beliefs that some of them were new. Maybe some of the worth or not safe to express ourselves might have been there before, but what happens is with infidelity, it puts all those like little beliefs that are kind of in the background that you're coping with under a massive magnifying glass,
Oh,
plus
yeah,
adds more beliefs. And so
right?
we have these memories creating these beliefs that are these I statements, I am not enough, which then creates these thoughts. And that's where things are out of control because one belief, I'm not enough or I can't trust him, can spiral into all day long. The trigger train. He goes to work
And
and
I've realized I was always that way.
oh,
This is
even prior
something
to this.
I've always been spiraling, thinking out of control like that. Um, and I've done that for years, right? And so then it just brought me back to really trying to understand, how I think if I would have been able to identify this early on and stuff, I probably would have handled things differently, whatever. But it helped me grow as a person to identify how I relate to things, how I self sabotage, how I talk down to myself, how I am everybody else's cheerleader but my own. And I learned I have to switch that because I basically got ran over by a car and left to take care of myself. So
Share your
now what are you going
analogy
to
with
do?
me, the one you're sharing
I,
with me yesterday. I love this. Just yeah, share trying to explain this to your husband. What did you say to him?
I was trying to explain to him, I was like, because again, he's an avoidant, so he doesn't want to talk about any of this stuff. Like, you know, Uh, and I used to get really frustrated with it, but now I'm like trying to really lean, lean back, not lean in, but lean into understanding him to help me get to a better connection. So I was trying to explain to him. I said, "You do not understand. Like I know I've told you I'm shattered. That I'm picking up the pieces, but I said I felt like I got ran over by a car by you two because this girl knew me. She been to my home. She, you know, took care of our home and our dog when we were on vacations. Like it's not like you didn't know me or see me. Like why I deserve this. So you two are driving this car and you run me over, and then I'm laying out in the street. And just for good measure, you back up and hit me again because you guys decided you want to still talk. And then you drive off, and I'm laying out in the street, bleeding out, broken bones, trying to pick myself up. And I'm trying to, repair myself, go to therapy, whatever it is to fix me. And I'm left to do it on my own. And then you sideswipe me again because whatever it was that,
Yeah, we jumped
kicked up
ahead a
again.
little bit. We jumped ahead, I think, a little bit there because the running back over again is that there was another discovery. So we started working together Marches. We're almost done our 12 weeks, and then what happens? Let's share that part.
The beginning of May, I don't know what it is. So I have these like spidey feelings I call, and I feel, and he actually thinks I have some kind of monitoring software on his phone. I do not. And I have never been one that checks phones, location. I have never been that person. And for some reason, I had checked one of his social medias that day. Don't know why. because he's not big on doing all that kind of stuff. And they had just been texting back and forth, and it went from 0 to 100 in 2 exchanges. And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" And so he's in the shower, and I'm like, "I'm gonna call from this social media app," and I just called because I think where I went wrong was she still didn't know I knew everything. And so she's still trying to get her way back in. So when I say sideswipe, well, he went to work that day of the day after discovery and said, "Hey, I need to work on my marriage." She saw that text. I got to figure this out. And then within the week or two, she's sending spicy videos. She's ramping it up, and and I'm trying to explain to him, hey, she has no regard for boundaries. And you told her you need to work on your marriage. She knows you're a part owner. She knows her family works there. She doesn't care. So fast forward to how this went, you know, spicy. I am, and I called her and I just laid into her for 4 or 5 minutes. I don't even, I, it, It's probably a blur of everything that I said, but I let her know how I felt. I told her she's not special. She's not magical. She's not better than me. I said, you're just available. You made yourself available. You're low hanging fruit. Like, and you shouldn't be when somebody's married, and do better.
Yeah, and you know what?
So,
I think one part of this too is you didn't want to tell her for the longest time. And I know between Mary, you and I, there was a lot of conversation that was keeping you so stuck. And looking back, not letting her know that you knew the whole story because I know that you were fearful of what's going to happen to the
mhm,
business or the family legacy of this company. What you did not want to share anymore, but it was actually harming you.
it was.
Yeah,
It
tell
held
me a
me
little bit
back.
about that. So it held you back in your healing. Tell me a
Yeah,
little bit more about that. And then you had the 4 minute that you barely remember. So take me
right.
over those couple months or 3 months.
I th- I think because it left an opening for them, right? Because he's still living on this teeter-totter world of, well, I still can manage both sides, right? But now it's a little dicier at home, and this one just thinks I'm kind of giving up, and she's just reaching out whatever little tricks she can pull out of her hat to try to reel him back in, right? And I said, if you're really just friends with benefits, I said, why is she doing that? I said, she's not respecting you, you know. And so looking back, I wish I would have, but I had so much fear that it was going to either blow up or I didn't know what was going to happen, right? And I just was not regulated enough internally um, to handle that. And just you feeling so alone. And I really do wish I would have handled that part differently, but you don't know, you know. Um, but it's so true. Mary would get me off my ledge and
And just
sh
anyone who knows, Mary's one of our marriage coaches. So there's four of
yeah,
us that are marriage coaches on the team. And so you, Mary, and I work together. So yeah, you would leave a message, a hot message for Mary, and then what would happen then?
and then she just really would have me reframe and look at things differently. And
Yeah,
I still have troubles doing that. Like, I still think you need to do a master class on that because I need to look at things differently because especially
yeah,
when it's these attachment styles, because I see it one way, he sees it another.
yeah.
And I am really having to learn his language and my language are two different things. And I probably could have saved us a lot of painful times over the years if I would have really understood that or worked on myself, right? Because I have always been fearful and didn't realize that, right?
Mhm. So interesting. Like we're talking about you come to us because your marriage is and like what's going to happen to it, but you keep talking about working on yourself. So a
Uh-huh.
lot of women they got to fix the marriage, but when they come to us, it ends up like, wait a second, I'm a bit of a block here. We can't actually fix the marriage until I
Right.
work through that, like you said, the
Right.
worthlessness. Like and you aren't worthless, like you know it logically, but subconsciously there's
Right.
something telling you.
right?
she's younger and her body and this, and then that fear of like the business
Oh,
and
yeah.
those things kept me
She's the new
so stuck.
car, right? She's the new car with the premium leather seats. I'm the old jalopy over here with, a sagging rear end, and my headlights are broken, and, I've got leaks and whatever. But made me think differently of myself and my worth. And it really, instead of focusing just on him or the marriage or her, it really held me accountable, and it's really fixing you on the inside in the nervous system, and you're retraining your brain and thinking. And I think that that's why this program appealed to me, because I knew, like, if I you can read all you want, if you don't apply it, if you don't do the work, it's not going to help. Of course, you can get down in a spiral because I'm with an avoidant, so him not doing the work I get annoyed at, right? But he's doing it in his way. And I have
Mhm.
to learn how to respect that too. And that's something that I've learned in this. And it's also was a program that wasn't on should you stay or should you go? It was more of, hey, where are you at today? We can make decisions down the road. But if you make a hasty one today, going back is harder. So let's and I truly firmly believe if I gave anybody advice, you need a year before you make a decision, unless there's harm or something else going on. I think because of everything that you're going through in your brain and everything that you're feeling in your nervous system, you need a year to really figure this out. I
Yeah,
mean,
and everybody's different, but you set that as a goal for yourself. Like I'm going to give it, like you chunked in terms of
I did
check-ins with
chunk it.
yourself.
I did
You
chunk,
chunked like I'm
yep,
going to
because
check
we
in with
had some,
myself after 3 months. You're like, I want to really
yep,
check in with yourself in
I
June, and
did.
now you're reevaluating. I want to give this a year. We'll talk about that in a moment, but like when it comes to what you did, like you said, we work with our clients every single day. You had access to Mary and I Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So you would have a trigger that day and you're right on there and Mary's getting you down. What kind of things were you doing though to actually rewire the brain? So there's one thing to just talk about it and vent about it, but how did we actually get you to a place where we could eliminate some of that fear and get your worth back to like where it should be? What
I
were the
would
tools
say,
that worked?
so with the tools, I mean, there's plenty of tools, right? But I mean, like, obviously the self-care is great, the journaling's great, but the other tools that helped me was going through the modules that you have in your program and giving me goals of, hey, what are you going to do this week? Let's get through this one. Let's do the hypno journeys. The hypno journeys were fabulous, especially like when I had fear and doubt, or I was just trying to think,
And just so people know, those are these hypnosis audio tracks that they're recorded, they're part of our program. And Mary would say, go do the trigger hypnosis audio track,
yeah,
go do the fear hypnosis track. But we would target you and tell you exactly what to take through it.
yeah,
So an example, if you're doing a cord cutting, which is like an attachment thing, cord cut the version of him that sent those spicy messages, and let him go, or that fear that, you know what, I'll be okay, the business will be okay. I surrender that to God, higher power, whatever it might be. Like I will be okay when I step into my truth. And so really letting go of things in these hypnosis tracks. So
yeah.
yeah, tell me, yeah, sorry, I interrupted you there. Tell me a little
No,
bit
no,
more.
no. Like it, but you're so true. Like it was the triggers, the boundaries, the fear and doubt. Like those ones really helped me. And then working with Amy.
Okay,
So
so Amy's one of our hypnosis, like hypnotherapists. So we have three of us on the team that do the hypnotherapy. And so you worked with Mary and myself on a day to day, and then you had Amy to do your hypnosis sessions. So yeah, you know what? Let's hop into that because I have a bunch of notes that I can share. I don't know if you remember all this
okay.
stuff, but
Oh
I
no.
know like one of the first ones. Oh, I love this. One of the first ones that you did was, I just want to make this go away. You came in with your magic wand to Mary or to Amy and said, my goal for this session is to make it go away. We can't make it go away. I can't erase it, pick it out of your memory. It doesn't work that way. But I love that's what you
Oof.
worked on. Later on, you worked on some self-worth stuff. But yeah, tell me about like, again, this is voodoo, this is witchcraft. That was what you're coming in with. So tell me a little bit about what was it actually to you? What were these hypnosis sessions like?
You
These
know,
private sessions, these 90
yeah,
minute sessions.
it's very good meditation. It's a very good calming place. Um, and I realize now like you block a lot of things out or you don't understand. And so then there's a lot of leading questions that helps walk through some of that stuff. And it's just a really, like, if you've ever done yoga or a type of meditation, which I have done that. So I get how you can get very relaxed like that, but I've never done anything to this degree or whatever. So it really helped me in the moment and kind of rethink things. And then, she would send at the end of that session, she always had this like 10, 12 minute audio that you could replay, and you play it daily. And it's just whether it has mantras or whether it has like, what you worked on. And it really helps build you up to tell you a different story to yourself. And so when you listen to that over and over and over, it really helps. And so, like, and I still have those things, like when I'm having a hard time with something, and, I will give myself, like, a pep talk, and, I can't change this, or I can't control this, or I'm doing the best that I can right now, or whatever it is. It helps so much.
Yeah, so in those sessions, what happens is you might come in with, "I want to erase this from my brain." What happens is we end up going to exactly where you need to. Like
Yep.
as a therapist, we don't know exactly where it'll go, but we'll give you prompts, and it takes you back to maybe certain memories or certain feelings that you have, and we're expanding. It's like we make it bigger, and so you can
Yeah.
see wider. You're like, wait a second, I don't need to be scared of this. I can see the
It
whole
is.
picture now. So it takes you out of that
Yes.
hyper focus of I'm scared of this to widen it up. And like those audios that we leave for you afterwards, what happens is like 12 minutes, you listen to it every single day, and it's just reinforcing the stuff that you shifted that day, the truths that you knew when you were in that theta, kind of that not asleep, not awake brainwave state, the stuff that you knew was true. We then give that to you so you can listen to it daily on more of a logical level, which then retrains the brain to create new neural pathways. Like physiologically, Betty, if we were to scan your brain when you first started versus after, it's going to light up differently. There's different neural pathways firing different
Yeah.
thoughts. Yeah, can you feel that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I mean, and it, plus it's the growth of moving further away from,
Yes,
you
absolutely.
know,
Processed
all
more in
the
time.
right.
Time heals.
But it helps me. Like, I would always be obsessive thinking on a lot of stuff, and I would get stuck in that, right? And so now I've learned how to, just in daily stuff, letting some of that stuff go. But it also opened up, like, how you got there, why you think that way too. At least for me, it did. And so it takes me back to, you know, not necessarily like what happened, or, did your parents do something or not do something, but it's maybe more of what you didn't get to. It doesn't mean that you had some big trauma or tragedy in your life, but maybe you're missing something. And so for me, mine was the fear of abandonment. And I won't go into that, but my root is fear of abandonment. And obviously, when this happens with your husband, you have fear of abandonment because you
Yeah.
just got abandoned, right? Like, whoa, wait, and granted, and we didn't go into but we were not in a good place in our marriage at that time. It was very stale. It was very roommate-ish. We got along. We didn't fight. We still were doing all kinds of things together. We still were intimate, but I would go upstairs and do my thing, and he would do his thing, and he throws himself into hobbies, and I would go do my thing. And I used to really try to push on that, and I got to a point where I was like, I was done trying. And then I
Hmm.
think it got to a point where he noticed, like, I'm nowhere to be found. And instead of trying to work on that, he he found somebody that was interested, and I think it was very sexy and exciting. And this person's very young and very interested, and I'm like, "You're an idiot," but
Does he know
that's
why
where
he
we
did
are.
it? Like through, has he figured out,
So
has he got to the
we've
bottom
been
of it?
talking about that.
Oh, because you started couples counseling since. You didn't at the
We
beginning,
did.
but now you're doing couples counseling. Are you still
Yes.
still actively doing couples counseling? And has he got to a
Yes, we were
spot?
supposed to have it last week, and we had it for the next round, but, we had to move it. But it's very far and few in between that we do it, but it's me trying to get baby steps of getting him in there, 'cause, uh I did set some boundaries at the beginning, and he didn't follow them. And so then I got discouraged. And so this is kind of my way of trying to, like, all right, again, feel like I'm left to fix and repair from the car accident. And he just drives off. All right. So I think when I look at doing, like, the couples therapy, it is helping, it's bringing up things, and we recognize, you know, how we were, where we were, but why we didn't. But you had asked me, do we know the why? I don't think we know the why. I don't know if we really will know the why. I mean, he has always had kind of his own little ego of his own, and I think, aging and, somebody that's 30 years younger is interested in you, I'm sure that feels very good. Uh, he also has always had some sort of a, uh, addiction in his life, and whether he throws himself into a new hobby or he throws himself into whatever, um, and, it could be sports betting and gambling, or it could be whatever. He has always had something. And I think this was another one. And so then here we go. We're feeling good. We get these little hits. And, so when I was asking him and talking, he's like, I didn't have a terrible childhood. There's nothing, blah, blah, blah. Like he just cannot see it. And I said, sometimes it's not that you didn't feel loved or you didn't have something, but it was you didn't have boundaries set with you. You didn't know how to learn how to do some of these things or how to regulate emotions or how to have big emotions. And so I'm trying to, again, help connect us with all through this. So I said to him, maybe it's not why you did this. Why didn't you stop at the stop sign? At the first one, why didn't you yield? Why didn't you stop at the next stop sign? Why did you keep going every time when you knew, oh, she reports to me, oh, I'm married. That's probably a good stop sign. I love my wife. He even told me, I've never stopped loving you. I don't want divorced. Um, I said, I mean, that you can only imagine all the questions I have. So this was just a conversation we had in the last couple weeks, and he's like, I will have to think about that. And he goes, I think it's because I don't think I'm ever going to get caught, or I don't think I'm going to get in trouble. And for some reason in his head, he just doesn't, consequences aren't a thing because he never had to be held to that stuff as a kid, even.
Yeah. How do you feel safe then, Betty, going like day to day when your husband thinks, oh, I just don't think I'm going to get caught. He hasn't got to the bottom of it. How do you feel safe?
I
And
don't.
like, what do you, like, is there anything you do to talk yourself down? Because, yeah, you're like long term, like that part of you, that fearful voice that comes in is like, I don't feel safe.
Yeah.
So, how do you manage throughout the day? What are you telling yourself? What are you choosing to trust?
Um, you know, I think it was Amy that told me to trust that the truth will come to light,
Yes, I have that
kind of
written down
thing.
somewhere. Yeah, I'll find
And
it.
so I do say that to myself a lot, like, trust that, you know, I don't wanna live my life looking at his phone. I don't wanna live my life like, I don't have him share his whereabouts with me. I don't, because I'm not gonna live like that. I shouldn't have to live worrying like that. Um, and I think the turning point for me was I've had to go into the business a couple times. Again, I have my own job outside of there. I don't have to be there every day. I don't deal with all that. And this person skimps away from me every time, ducks out, hides, will not look at me. And I just want to look at this person and have that conversation. And I really just want to be like, where's that confident girl that was hiding behind all these messages and doing all these bad, naughty things with my husband? Where's that confident girl? Right?
Yeah,
Like, that's
exactly.
what I want to say, right? And ever since then, I feel because I'm like, I don't have to hide. I didn't do anything wrong. I don't have to feel bad.
Yeah,
And so I think that kind of gave me more of the, like,
yeah,
she knows my presence and she's
yeah.
slinking around. And I just goes to show you, like, how, like, she has no boundaries again. And how do you stay working there? Like, why do you want to stay working there?
Yeah,
But
yeah, and you know what? I
it's
think that
still
made her
hard.
real. It made her a bit real, and you're like, "Ooh, yeah," it knocked her down a little bit in your mind. So, couple things there that you haven't actually talked to her face to face. It's only those four
Right.
minutes on the phone. You feel like maybe you do want to see her, like talk to her face
I
to face.
do.
Yeah, What do you
It's
wanna
on
say to
my,
her?
it's like I don't
You
know
have it
why it's
scripted?
a check. Oh, I have it scripted. That's why I could do the 4 and 5 minute thing because I had already had that scripted. I had told her what I had thought about her, right? Um,
Will it be different
and
this time? The 4 minutes that you said to her when you just went
yeah,
off, this time when you see her, what will the energy of that be versus the first one?
I think it's gonna be like I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. And you didn't get a permission slip to go sleep with somebody else's husband. You knew about me, right? Like, what I don't know what I did to deserve this.
Taking over
And
your
I think
territory, it's like, "This is mine,
And
not
I know
yours."
that it's not like everybody says you shouldn't blame the affair partner, but this person has a history of reaching for people that are married, and she's made it a pattern now. And so I just want to her to know, like, I see you, and you're not going to do this to somebody else, at least on my watch. And, I don't have a lot of pull. I can't, you know, he can't let her go without there being Scrudy, she's an amazing employee, to be honest. Very dependable, like, does a great job. Like, I cannot complain about that. But it's hurtful. I mean, it hurts me because I feel like she's getting chosen over me. And I know that's not true, but I do feel that way. It makes me feel like, oh, well, they get to go live their lives. They get to go with no repercussion. Nobody knows. There's no shame. There's no guilt. I want to be in the street throwing stuff. Shame, shame, shame. Uh, but what does that do? Like,
What does it do? It's not who you wanna be, it takes you to
no,
so many wives will tell me, "I don't even know who I am anymore, like, this is not who I wanna be, it doesn't feel good in my body."
right?
And so when we talk about how do you feel safe when he goes off to work every day, how do you feel safe when he thinks his why is, "I don't know what it is, I just did it and I didn't think I was gonna get caught." You know he has a bit of an addictive personality. How do you feel safe? And like
And
you
I
said,
go, how do I know that there's not a crack? And here it goes again. I said, or a glance, or a discussion, or there's something. I said, and he's like, because there's not. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not there. This is not fair to me. You know, I'm being asked to do this. I don't know if I can do it. Like, I really don't know. Like, it's every day, it is you know, some days are better than others. But I think that by me, I want her to see me in person. And I don't want to cause drama. I don't want it to cause attention. I don't want it to be where people around us could see or hear it. Um, it is just more of just for me something to get check off my list so I can get it out of
yeah.
my brain because of how I spiral.
It's all about the intention in which we do things. So for some women, if they want to go talk to it, they might do it from a vindictive, spiteful, angry spot. And that's not how you're doing it this time. It's more like I'm from my heart self, this is me. I'm here. This is my husband. I'm not going anywhere. And it sounds like it's a higher vibe than what it could have
Yeah,
been.
it's more of like, you know, you you just filled it some sort of a need. You need help, obviously. I mean, I'm sorry, but you do. You need to figure out why you choose married people and get your own. You're right. Um, and then and why people that are 30 years older on top of that, I don't know. I mean, because obviously they follow over you because they think, oh, you were whatever. Um, but you have family that works there, and my kid works there, and you know, you, I just can't imagine being 25 years old and sending the stuff to my boss. And then my boss says, hey, we can't do this anymore. And still sending and doing. And then continuing, like, would send text messages or all of a sudden start sending messages on another social media app and said, well, they're innocent. And I went berserk because this was like in June, I think, then. And I said, they're not innocent. She's looking for a crack. This shut it down. And so obviously he went back into work. And then he trying to shut that down again. And she's like, yeah, but it's innocent. I said, "If it's innocent, then why didn't you send it in text? Why does it have to be in another social media app that you weren't using?" And so he goes, "I'm now seeing," like, it took him a minute, like, "I'm seeing she may have liked me more than I thought." I said, "It's not about that. She's losing control, and she's trying to get it back." And I said, "And she's not respecting you or your boundaries or our marriage."
Yeah.
But I still can't get him to, like, admit all that yet. Like, it's baby steps.
Yeah, it is. It's almost like they have this false identity. They see themselves in this certain light and they push down that other part of them that loves the validation, that has done these wrong things, because there's a two different, there's shame and there's guilt. Shame is I'm a bad person, I'm a bad husband. Well, guilt is I've done something wrong. And so for them to own that, that will change their identity of who they are, because all of a sudden then there's someone who's done something wrong. So it's hard because we can see it, we can see them, but they're not willing to see it in themselves yet.
Right.
But through you changing, like through you and having these healthy conversations, and that helps him feel safer to then discover those things about himself versus getting super
I
defensive and
don't know
shutting
if he
down.
feels safer. Because he gets so uncomfortable. Like, if
Yes.
you try to have any of these kind of conversation, he'll try to make a joke. He'll try to, like, like, backtrack out of something. Once in a while, he'll get a little, s feisty, but not a lot. But that's when I can tell I've hit a pressure point.
Mm.
Um, but he had just said, I think it was last week, I think we were talking about shame or guilt, and I don't remember what it was, but he had said, I feel so bad for how you feel, like,
You
what
know
I've
what?
done
There
to
you
you."
go. So maybe he's not safer yet then to fully open himself, because he doesn't feel safe within himself to even look at that stuff. But he's starting
Right.
to understand. He's starting to be open to, I can see how I hurt her. So a little bit more compassion, a little bit more understanding, a little bit
Yep.
more empathy.
And
That's what's coming first. Yeah.
I will say that you and Mary both, and probably even Amy, help me understand that there is no right or wrong way of how people react or when they can come around to seeing things. And so, like, what works for one person or another may not be the same prescription for another couple. And so, where I think some people could just, like, give up right away, but part of me is like, we don't fight. We get along. We have a good time. We laugh a lot. We enjoy different things. We just got lost. And um life kind of took over, and and I wasn't happy with where I was either. And I've told him, I said, as much as I will never say I'm thankful that this happened, I am thankful that I am not where I had been, because I truly was unhappy too. And I would tell myself, like, is this it? Is this the rest of my life? Like, this doesn't, you know, but I still have, I mean, now I just have a lot of ups and downs, fear and doubt and all that stuff. And I just keep thinking it's gotten better. It continues to get better. So my hope is either it's going to get better and we're going to be even stronger, better than we were, or I'm going to be in a better place to go do something different.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. It's about you right now,
And
getting that
right,
clarity.
right.
I think one thing you said was really powerful there. It's like you're saying, because I keep asking, like, how do you let him go to work? Not let him, but how does he go to work and how do you function
Woof.
throughout the day? And I think you said something really important was you have to trust yourself to trust him today, or you have to trust yourself, that spidey sense that you have, that special sense that you have, because of what you got in that one session with Amy, that, you know what, I believe that if I'm meant to know this, it'll come through. I will learn the
Yeah.
information I need to know in good timing. So there's a bit of a surrender there. Like I can't logically, because I don't want to check his phone. I don't want to
Right.
be that person, that I
Yeah.
have to choose to trust that he's in this marriage until I see otherwise. And that is
Yeah.
so hard, because we actually want to think it the other way. It's like he is not trustworthy until I see that he
Yeah.
is trustworthy and he's telling me all the right things. But what are those right things? Is it, yeah.
And it is hard because I can see, like, one of the things that I had asked him, because um he has this club thing that he does on certain nights. And that was his excuse of how he would obviously go see this person. And he's done this, we're talking years. He's gone to do this for years. And so I had said, can you take a picture while you're there? I mean, I don't want to follow your location because to me, I'm like, you can park your car there and leave that phone in there and whatever. Like, there's just all kind. I think of every out that there could be, right? So I don't know. Like, this is what we decided. So he did say this past week, I am trying. I sent you pictures, and I was like, really? That's your trying? That is bare minimum, sir. Like, come on, I do better, right? But I'm also dealing with a man, so like he thinks he's going above and beyond, right? But I realized in that moment, like I said, "Is that hard for you?" And he's like, "Well, no." But in his head, he really like this is me sacrifice like giving you like what I'm doing here or something, you know what I mean? And I'm like, so I just have to take it. Like I have to trust that this process and in that until something else is different, but I don't want to be I feel like I mean I have more years behind me than I have ahead and I don't want to live my life to being worried every day, to being scared, to not feeling loved. And so I do have things in my head of what I need or where I'm going with this. And I'm very vocal and told him, like, I don't want to not feel this way. And he's like, but you do know I love you. I'm like, do I? Because this does not feel like love when you go and do something like this. He's like, I never stopped loving you. And I'm like, do you see how this is confusing? Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So when you lump someone, you don't go and do these horrible things and run him over and leave him for dead. And, but that's what you did. And he's like, I don't see it that way. And I'm like, well, that's how I feel. So there is a lot of work to still do, right? But you guys have made it possible, especially with being able to talk to you on a daily basis to and I try not to abuse that, right? Like I know that some people can spiral and just then all of a sudden that is just their out. I did try to be very thoughtful in okay, here's what I'm thinking. And there's lots of times I'm like, hey, you don't have to reply. I'm just throwing this out there. I'm throwing thoughts. Here's where I'm at or something. But it was more of just it was a good outlet, like, maybe it was another way to journal too, but it was so helpful, and to know I'm not alone, I'm not crazy, but it also gave me different perspective, right? To not go down these rabbit holes. I kept saying, because I had condominiums with they were linking up, like, in the neighbor's yard, across the block to the down the street, because I was in such rabbit holes at times. And you guys would put the brakes on and help me realize, like, this is not helpful. This is not going to help your healing. And I'm like, you're right. Like, and it really would put things in perspective. And you guys would stop me in my tracks and be like, is this really helpful?
Yeah, no, it is a powerful space and it's so unique because you're giving all these little snapshots throughout your day and then you collect them and you look at it over a week and we know exactly where you're at. It's not like you go to therapy and you have to recap what's happened the whole week and you use your whole hour session just recapping. We're in the know every single day. And I like
Yeah,
how you said it. It is a form of journaling. I have some clients that sometimes just say, do not listen. And the app that we use maxes out at 15 minutes. And then you have to leave another message that's 15 minutes. So they'll sometimes write, do not listen. And so I'm just venting, venting, venting. Or I'll see a few that were deleted, deleted, deleted. And it's a client's like, I just had to get it out and I just deleted it after. Okay, I'm calm now. This is what's been happening. This is what I'm thinking that I don't want to think anymore. And then we work on the reframe. Because how this works is you have to have awareness that, like, I don't like how I'm feeling. And then from
right.
there, we just have to figure out what's the belief that's driving those thoughts. And if you don't know what the belief is, like I'm not enough or I'm not in control, I can't trust, we just have to know what are the thoughts. And so if we know what the thoughts are, like you said, this reframe really is if you're thinking I'm worthless or I'm not enough, how would you reframe that? Give some examples of some of the reframing you've done. Like we just talked about the trust, like I can't trust them. Instead, it's I choose to trust myself that I'll get the information if I need it. I choose to trust myself that I don't want to be that person who's checking the phone. So let's give another example of a reframe that you've done.
So, oof, I'm not good at reframing.
Oh,
Ha ha
well, I
ha.
can give you some of
Uh,
your ones that you're stuck in, but
um, like, for example, I remember there was, and I think you had kind of said something about like, I came home one day and he was doing laundry, and I was like,
yes, I love this
s-
story. Let's share
I
this
was
one. This is another
sick
one of
to my,
him. Yeah.
yeah, I was sick to my stomach because I'm like, why is he doing laundry? My mind's going, what is he hiding? What is he washing? Why is he washing? I mean, I got a new washer and dryer set a year ago. my guy has no clue how to run this thing. Like, this thing is so tech savvy thing. Like, and
Mhm.
I was like, what is he doing? I still don't know to this day why he started. It wasn't like he was doing bedding or anything like that. He legit was doing a load of laundry. And I just was, but I had to go back to you guys and like, this is triggering me. Like, I'm in pure panic mode because of what, what's happening. And, but I had to think like, maybe he is being helpful. Maybe he is trying to pick up, because that is something I kept saying as like, he's like, well, you were so overloaded with, I had a job change. We were going to lose our jobs. I had a new horrible boss. I had a new horrible, horrible, horrible coworker. Made my life miserable. I was miserable. I was miserable at work. I was taking care of a parent. I was so busy. And I said, and I remember saying, if you want to lighten my load, getting a girlfriend was not the way to frickin' do it, sir. Like, are you kidding? Do you hear yourself? Doing a load of laundry, that would be helpful. You know, taking my parent to an appointment, that would be helpful, right? Uh, so I don't know if it was after that, but it was more of I had to reframe it because do you think he's done another load of laundry since then? No. So it was a one-time thing. So, uh, uh, but there's lots of little things that he would do, and I would just think, like his phone, like if it would like beep or something, I instantly would have this like whatever, and I had to remember like everybody's phones are gonna go off. You can't get. I mean, it didn't bother me before I discovered this. Why am I allowing this to bother me now? It is, and just all those little things were reframing. But if you have an example,
Yeah, I
um,
think that's a good one. We'll use that one. So what we're doing is you have the awareness of like I'm spiraling, I don't like these thoughts. Then we work on the reframe of he's trying to be helpful. This doesn't mean something shady's happening. It doesn't mean he's so it just we
right?
do the reframe and then what we want to do is then take it through a hypnosis track often if it's a really stuck one. So it might take it through trigger and be like, I am safe, I am okay, I am overwhelmed. He's helping out. That's what I choose to believe right now. And otherwise it'll come out what I need to know. So the hypnosis tracks really help like
Yes.
cement. If you can imagine, like I like wet cement. Someone's just walked in wet cement, and that is now imprinted in your head that he's done this, he's done this, he's done this. And so what we need to do is go to that imprint and just change it up a little bit. And so that's how we're changing the neural pathways to shrink that imprint that's in your mind and create a new path that then is spiraling into all these emotions that you don't because fear is FEAR, false evidence appearing real. So often we want to look at what are the facts. Okay, he's washing, he's doing the laundry. Are the facts that he's doing something shady, like that where your brain's going? No, it's not there. So we have to choose. Like I choose to see the facts. um okay, with that I want to ask a couple other questions. Like what's next? Like what he went to couples counseling. He's got some work to do. Not he's opening up slowly more and more.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's next? Like what your goal? If I could wave my
So
magic wand, like what is it that
yeah,
you want
I'm
next?
doing individual counseling too. Uh, and I just had kind of started that in the last 6 weeks or so. Um, and that's just kind of more of for me to stay centered and not get off track. Um, and I think for me, trying to figure out it's really setting boundaries because I always back down. Like, what I would say, like, I'm not one that's fearful of speaking up or speaking my mind or saying what I gotta say or shooting from the hip, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, there was things that I had said at the beginning of this that I wanted him to do or whatever, and then he never followed up and did them. And then I had so much fear and doubt and no self-confidence, and I just allowed that to happen because I was so scared, right? And now I think I've kind of been telling him, like, no, we're still going to work through this. We're still, the other day he said, well, I didn't know we were still going to couples counseling. And I'm like, why would we not? What changed? What? He goes, well, I think we're doing great. I said, you think we're doing great? That's great for you. Your needs are being met then. Mine still are not. So we have work to do. And so kind of more of, he has a lot of work to do. And I fearful that he may or may not, and I'm going to have to be okay with that, and there's nothing I can do with that, because what he did is not gonna dictate my happiness. I cannot allow that to happen, you know, and, I will cross that bridge when it comes to it, but it is my path is to continue with my therapy, um, to continue to work on the couples part of it, to set boundaries, and to be more, "All right, fine. Here's the book. Here's what we're gonna go through," or whatever it is to try to help, navigate through some of this. Um, and my biggest thing right now is trying to really work hard on her working there, because that is probably my biggest stuck right now, is her working there. So that's gonna I mean, that's my goal, right?
Yeah. Let me oh, you have access to the whole toolbox, like, you have the modules
Yep,
and the hypnosis track, so
yep,
you can continue to keep using those as well as
yep,
part of your tool. I feel like it's a
and I
toolbox at this
have
stage.
yep,
A
it
lot of my
is, I
clients
call it.
will do individual therapy, also doing this because 'cause they're 2 totally different support systems. I'm curious on your opinion. What if you'd done it in the reverse? If you had done, like, just individual therapy at the beginning, would you be where you are now, or was there
No,
a difference, like, that daily support that intensive support that we gave you at the beginning,
it
was
is
that a game
for
changer?
me, I needed that because I'm the anxious one, right? Like, I am constantly running, and I've always been that way and didn't realize, obviously, but I needed to get put into check so that I could function, so that I could still remain employed, so I could still show up as a parent, so I could still show up as a daughter. Um, I didn't really probably give two craps if I showed up as a wife at this point in time, but I did have a new perspective of seeing my husband differently and not as this horrible person. It was more of taking a step back of what was he going through? Why? What what is this another addiction? Is this another, I wouldn't give up on him if it was this, or I wouldn't give up on him if it was that. It also put me in a different position, realizing when I've heard of or I've had a friend that experienced something similar, not giving your opinion because you don't walk in those person's shoes. You don't know what it's like. You have no clue. And I hear people constantly, "Oh, I'm not Stan. I wouldn't put up with that." I
Yeah,
have
just wait.
30 some years with this person whom I don't hate, whom I still love, whom I still have fun with, right? I don't love what happened. I don't love what he did, but is it worth it? Yes. I mean, for me, it is
I love
because,
you saying the word today. Today, I stay.
yeah,
Today, or if you feel broad enough to be
that
like
is
this
probably, I
week or
learned that
this
from
month
you.
or this 3 months, like, a lot of times today is the only way that I'm like, today I choose to stay." Doesn't mean it's down the line because that's too scary, but today.
Right.
And that's what we're in control of, is keeps us in the present. Because when we go fear, we're looking behind, we're looking forward, we're everywhere but now. And if it's fear, we're often living the emotion potentially twice, or even when we don't need to live that fear that they're going to connect
Yeah.
again. Why would we do that to ourselves? Because our
I
body
mean,
actually goes to that, them potentially being together. We feel that whole like wash over our body, pit in our stomach. It's not real. So today, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you.
no, I think I put things in my head of different ways to think about it. And so, like the visualization of them being together, whatever, that was horrible, right? Like you, and I probably made up more stuff that happened that didn't
Mm.
really happen, right? Like I probably made it more swanky than it should have been.
It is true.
But,
I do have clients that they're like, I've made up stories about them that probably never
uh
happened, maybe did, I don't know. And we do work on them in sessions. I have worked with clients where
yeah,
we actually go back, you see the imagery of them together. It's graphic stuff, but it's like you
eh,
watch a movie and you pause it and you let your nervous system calm. You see it, you pause it. And sometimes it's even like these are images because I haven't seen them be intimate, but these are images I've created in my head. They're
Yeah.
not serving me. I let them go. I know maybe what they did just facts wise or
Yeah.
logistically wise, but these movies that are playing in my head, and we work on actually getting rid of them because they
Yeah.
don't serve you and they're like you said, kind of they're not made up, but we've put images to them. So go
Yeah.
ahead.
So the
Mhm.
story I've told myself in my head is anybody can have sex. Strangers can
Yes.
have sex. Dogs have sex. Monkeys have sex, right? And, you know, I see all this profession in the world, right? So anybody can throw themselves out there to someone and have sex. But what I'm focused on, love is a choice. Yeah, there's feelings behind it, but you have to work at it and you have to show up and you have to do all that work. So am I going to let this blip, right, of a story in my book, this chapter, be the end of my story? Or do I get to have more chapters? Because this person's not worth it to me.
No.
He is worth it to me. She is not. And I know that it may sound like I don't put a lot of blame. I put up plenty of blame on him. But I have to realize that person is going through something because if you have your stuff together, you wouldn't be doing this. You wouldn't do this to another human being. You wouldn't. And so she has her own stuff to deal with. And so that's how I kind of separate that stuff. I don't know if
Yeah,
that
there's a
makes sense.
oh, 100%. There's a lot of truth in that when you can actually see. It's like I call it emotional x-ray glasses. So and sometimes in a hypnosis session, I'll say, put on your emotional x-ray glasses. And I want you to see into that person. Like see into them. And what do you really see? Like they're hurting. People don't do that unless they're hurting or there's a reason in there that's not she's got work to do. And eventually, you know what, she'll find her way and it'll all come to her. She has to face it in some way. Whether it's in her 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, there'll be a
I'll probably be
time.
dead by the time she figures it out.
There, I hope she finds it out, like figures it out sooner. Okay, I want to see if there's anything else we need to talk about from you, or if there's another woman watching this interview, watching this chat with you, that's facing betrayal with her husband, or even her husband's working with the affair partner soon, or still, sorry.
Yeah.
Like, what message would you give to anyone, whether their husbands are still working with the affair partner or they're just going through this right now? You are kind of 9 months in, 8 months in. What do you want to share?
I think I told myself like the very first few days I kept saying I won't let this steal my joy. I won't let this steal my light and I won't let this steal my peace. And what they did should not define me. What they did shouldn't define him or her, right? And I think as a mom of even kids that are older than her, I feel bad for her, you know. Um but until something proves differently, I'm choosing peace. I am choosing to heal. I'm open to healing whether we're together or apart because I need that. Um you're more powerful than you realize. You have to get out of your own way. You have to anger and resentment are not going to I mean, I say that and I feel like I have more anger, resentment and bitterness right now. Um and it's part of the process, but everyone's different and how they process things or think about things. And so for me, I think if I would have had somebody that could have just said, "Here's how it went for me. Here's kind of the steps or here's uh how I was feeling." So you just don't feel alone because you feel so alone because you can't tell like I couldn't share all the details. I couldn't tell anybody everything. Um because I don't want this to get out and I don't want this to blow up for everyone else. You know, there's 30 some other people working there that, you know, I don't, it's not because of embarrassment. But why put everybody through this because two people made really poor decisions to self-gratify. For what? You know? Um, I would say I was trying to make goals for our marriage, make it trustworthy, make it caring, loving environment, and that's what I continue to try to do
Yeah.
with some tough love.
With your style, you don't lose your flair in all of this. Like you still have to kind of come back to who you are. And like you said, tough
Yeah.
love is a little bit of that's in you. Betty, I can't thank you enough for being so open and honest. And like you said, there's a lot of people, a lot of women who feel so alone. And you've given a roadmap of your journey and what has worked and where you got stuck and those setbacks and how you've taken control back. Because that's all you can do is choose, figure out this. How do I want to think? How do I want to feel? And my
Yeah.
thoughts create my emotions in my body, and if I have an undesirable emotion, okay, what do I need to do to process it so I don't have to feel it anymore? So thank you.
No, and thank you. And, I was just like thinking through the other thing that I did that kind of helped me is the past is the past. It is what it is. And I got to look forward, right? And I don't want to keep saying, well, you did this and you did that and you went here and you told me you were doing this. But then he can come back and say like, well, what about this? And we didn't do this. And, we weren't intimate enough or we weren't this or we weren't that. And I have to say, if you don't want me to bring up all this stuff with her and what happened, then we can't worry about where we were and we've got to make this all brand new. And, whatever this hurricane was that came through and tore down our structure or this tornado or whatever it was, we have to build new because it's gone. It's been shattered. It's gone. And so just not holding on to the past to help make you step forward is what is helping me.
Betty, that's like for a lot of women, unbelievable. Is it impossible? And for you to say that right now at where you're at is gives so many women so much inspiration, motivation that this is possible for them, that they're going to. And I don't even want to say to the other side, but be like you said, this the beautiful book of Betty, this is your book and this is part of your story. And that's so many women are so angry. I didn't want this to be part of my story, but it is. It's a chapter and it's there and this is a journey that you're on. You have more chapters to come, and we just don't want this to be the highlight. Will it get strung through a little bit? Yeah. Will it get easier as you move forward? Yes, that is a natural part of growth and time. But you've done a ton of heavy lifting, as I like to put in. You're in a place where you have a toolbox and you're able to manage so much better. So thank you. Any final
No,
words? I'll give you the final word.
I would just say thank you for having great mentors and helping me get through this journey. I mean, I'm still going through it, right? Like
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie here
I
and say that in 12 weeks
mm,
you're gone, you're
yeah.
back. It's like
Oh
it's
no.
over, it's done. It's with
Right?
humans,
Oh
it's
no.
part of our story. It's there.
Right.
It's just yeah, no, sorry, go ahead. Like I want to
And
say
no,
there's a
and it's
journey. I just
tools,
want to I
right?
want to
It's
make that
tools
clear
in
to
a
everyone.
toolbox, right? Like, and everybody works and thinks differently. This is what worked for me. This is what I needed. And I truly don't know where I would have be. I would probably still be spiraling. I would just be, making up stories in my head and not knowing how to stop the intrusive thoughts, how to, move forward. So I do think, um, I appreciate your voodoo because it's helped me.
Betty, I love that ending. That is so you. So let's leave it at that. Betty, thank you so much. Thank you for everyone who's watched. If you have any questions, please leave a comment, send us a DM, send us an email, and we're happy to answer any of your questions. Or if you have questions for Betty, send them to me too, and I'll get you an answer. So thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you later. Bye.